So we're back in ARK, and we have another video covering a lot of information, and on top of that, my reasoning as to why Extinction is not going to be the last expansion to ARK Survival Evolve. Now, there's still a chance they could keep their word and stop this cash camel, which it's what it is. This is a cash camel. They are making millions of dollars off of this title. And it seems crazy to just end it, but I'm going to get into that later. We also have a theory for Extinction and what's happening there. We might have been wrong the entire time. Now, there are loopholes in this, so keep in mind it might not be 100% correct or even possible. However, this is the most likely secondary scenario of what might happen or what might have happened to the planet and what the status of ARK currently is with the Homo Deus. So, welcome back to ARK. As always, leave a like if you do enjoy these lore videos and informational videos on the game, trying to teach you a little bit more about ARK's theories and the storyline as well. So this one actually comes from Shadlos, and they're actually a mod developer too. You should check out some of their mods for Aberration. They do a really good job with them. Now, with that said, there was a theory brought to me a little while ago about, I guess, what's going to be happening with ARK and what they believe is happening with Extinction and so on and so forth with the next expansion to ARK. Now, we've come to two conclusions, basically. Either A, we go ahead, we land on a planet that we are never supposed to reach, nor, well, I guess we would have reached it eventually, but, like, we wouldn't have gotten there for a long period of time, more or less. Thanks to the hacking shenanigans of the survivors before us, actually. You guys should check out the other lore video I did. If you don't know what I'm talking about, well, then it's pointless to watch this video, basically. But no, the theory is that, as far as Ascension, it's just an entire giant sham. Now, here is the reasoning why. I can only assume that the basic theory is that the ARKs are designed to find and help worthy people to evolve into the Homo Deus, which is obviously the theory we had before all of these shenanigans. So, assuming that the end of Extinction is us or the former survivors turning into the Homo Deus. Now, their theory moves into some very, very sketchy territory. I want to make sure you guys know that, and I want you to either validate or discredit this theory on the spot, but I do think there is a chance that this might actually be something that Wildcard has been hopefully misdirecting us from, which is exactly what I'd do if I was making a game like ARK, to be honest with you. So, anyways, they go on to say, there is some evidence that the Homo Deus themselves may be the true quote-unquote villains of ARK somehow, and that the ARK program isn't a program to obtain Homo Deus to continue the race, but rather it's to provide strong enough humans and creatures to combat the abomination that is Homo Deus to continue to survive on Earth. More or less, well, these gods that we want to ascend into may be the ultimate undoing of the planet. And as you guys know, with technology comes destruction. Look at what, I'm not even going to say this place's name because I'm pretty sure it'll get me demonetized, but it's North and then it has a K. They've been claiming they have the technology for a certain kind of thingy thing that goes boomy boom, and with that technology and great power, well, you can break into war, and, well, it makes sense to me. The Homo Deus are basically gods. They can probably create anything, actually. They could probably make their own planet if they wanted to, if they put enough time into it. I mean, they made the ARK'S, supposedly. So, I mean, that could be it. The admission is there that even then, I find extremely little evidence to support this, like next to none, so I have a hard time believing my own theory. We may go to Extinction and find out that everything we know is a lie. There does seem to be something extremely off when the force field barrier falls on the ARK on Earth, which it doesn't make sense to me why there's an obelisk on Earth itself or why it was even projecting a barrier when you go down to the planet. That makes little to no sense to me unless you were meant to go there, progress through everything you had to do in this safety field, and then it would go down, obviously, and reveal the real world, and everything that you knew was shattered. And he wouldn't be surprised if the whole theme of Extinction was everything we know is wrong about what we thought we know. It could possibly be that everything we know is wrong, which would be that'd be horrible, to be honest with you. There's another idea that maybe the ARK'S are a prison. Maybe we're only supposed to go through all the ascending and all of these trials and the ARK teleportation to only make us feel like we have a false sense of progression. And actually, the reference is made that in the first Ascension cinematic we see there's hundreds of these stations surrounding the planet. Literally hundreds of them everywhere, going from deep space to the planet's surface, basically. Now, the point here is that there's literally no point in progressing between the stations. And it's going to be a little bit messy here. But if the ARK'S were to be stepping stones on a path to progressing to being a higher power, why are people skipping earlier stepping stones? Diana said absolutely nothing about being on the island or scorched earth. As far as we know, and from what the notes tell us that she leaves behind, she woke up on Aberration. And we can't use the excuse of, well, maybe she doesn't remember the other stations, because Rockwell and Helena sure definitely remembered Scorched Earth and the island. So here is a theory for you that you may want to look in yourself, which obviously speaking to me in the DM at that point. And this is an extremely strong theory because it is supported by in-game evidence. So another possibility here, and this one has much more ground to support it, basically. There is no true ascending on the ARK'S, and there is never going to be. We aren't supposed to go to Earth. Again, there are people waking up on the ARK'S that are supposed to be a higher step or further level on the path of evolution. And I don't think it's because they are more suited than us to become Homo Deus. So, I'm going directly against the main theory of the game here. So right there, you're going right against the main theory of the game to rank up yourself, get stronger, learn more, progress more, and become something greater through ascension. But the claim is actually made that due to endgame evidence, they're going to go ahead and say that the whole thing of ascending is complete BS. And they'll even go as far to use the room where the survivors are created and manufactured as evidence. Everyone had an existential crisis when they found that room, wondering if they were truly who they think they were. Were they just thoughts thrown into someone else's body, or were they people with the thoughts of somebody else in their brain? More or less a what is humanity kind of feel. Maybe Homo Deus created the ARK'S to be a prison cell system that gives a false sense of progression or escape. Maybe they themselves believed resurrecting these people to put on the stations was more than just a clone with incorrect thoughts thrown in on a whim. And to their shock and surprise, they were wrong, and we ended up being that which makes Homo Deus extinct. And to provide further evidence, I don't think respawns are as frequent as people think they are. Only Nerva, if I recall correctly, respawns, and then he was fairly new to the island. Respawning might just be a way of saying, LOL, you're funny, but you've got talent. Entertain us some more, or something like that, basically. In quotes, by the way. Because Rhea never saw anybody from her city again after it was destroyed, and she lived to be an old woman on the Ark. So again, if for that long she saw nobody else from her city, respawning was not a luxury. Why else would the Watchers and Overseers of the ARK'S decide to reset human progression when they're getting out of line? We can't say for sure, but we know for a fact, for the survivors before us, respawning was not a luxury. The reason they might decide to stop human progression is so that humans don't get strong enough to become a threat. And maybe that's why the Guardians and Overseer exist, to give a false sense of progression, because other people sure as hell are not progressing. And why would you need that many stations to hold that many progressors? Which again, guys, there's hundreds of those stations. They're everywhere. There's so many of them. It's too many, if you ask me. We don't need to go through that much to get super strong to beat whatever's down there. Unless it needs to go through, like, different, I don't know, different lengths of trials for different people. It kind of makes sense, but even then, still a lot of stations, unless they just want to bulk up on a lot of people too and make like an army. Kind of makes sense, I guess. I know for a fact, and you can clearly with common sense see, there is no way in hell that people have existed for that long to progress through all of those stations. Again, I don't think progression or ascension is truly what it is. I think it's a lie. By the end of the day, maybe our godlike descendants are simply trying to mock us, their weaker ancestors. And also, evolving is us evolving as a race, not as a creature, to become even stronger than them and prove them wrong. So that's the, I guess, grand idea behind ARK, and everything basically being a lie, and there being so many different storylines that could happen. I want to know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Now, as far as why I do not believe Extinction is the last thing coming with ARK. Well, one, we have Primal Survival, which is currently on hold, unless it was canceled. I thought it was canceled. Not 100% sure on that, actually, but I do know it's on hold. It's put on hold for now, just for a while they work on other projects. We have ARK Park VR, where they are making a virtual reality experience off of the ARK universe. I don't know if this takes place after or before, or if it's even in the same universe of the planet and stuff, like with Earth being destroyed. Maybe ARK Park might either shed some light on more of the storyline for their baseline game ARK, or it's just going to do absolutely nothing except, hey, look, a dinosaur in my living room, basically, more or less. You can make that sense. I don't know. I think it makes sense to me a little bit that they try and clue up the storyline a bit. Maybe ARK Park takes place after we've beaten ARK Survival Evolved and Extinction, and we reclaim the planet from whatever has destroyed it, if anything destroyed it. We don't know for sure if anything did destroy the planet. Now, anyways, the last point I have to make is that ARK has sold over 5 million copies of the game. That's not through its entire existence, guys. That is through, I think that's the 2016 report, actually. ARK sold like 5 million copies or something. That's not including the DLCs and the press passes and then what they would have earned from packs and all of these reveal events and stuff. ARK is arguably one of the most valuable games out there as far as earning money with it. I think they had $1 million budget when they started the reveal and showed the game off a couple years ago. And now that money is tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars made. I mean, do the math yourself. You charge a baseline of $20 for this game, which I think is less than what the asking price was when they launched. You do a baseline of 20 times 5 million. You get a pretty big dollar figure in US dollars. Not my currency, the weak Canadian dollar that doesn't stand up to that currency or like any other currency except for the Australian dollar. Like, no, US dollars. That should tell you something. They're making a lot of money. They're still making a lot of money. They will continue to make a lot of money. Stopping at Extinction is like saying, hey, we don't want to make money anymore. Everyone wants to make money. Game developers especially want to make money. They make games because, one, kind of like us as creators, where they want to make stuff people will enjoy, but two, it's detrimental for them to get funding. They want to make money. And I highly doubt they're going to retire anytime soon. Anyways, guys, that is it for the video. Let me know your thoughts down below on the theories I have provided to you. I think it is very likely that one of these theories could come to be true, and we've been distracted and diverted this entire time, trying to figure out other things and latching on to other theories. Also, well, I don't believe Extinction is the end of ARK. I genuinely don't. I think something's going to be released. I think ARK's going to release something massive. A Wildcard's going to make a statement. and something else is going to happen, or maybe they're going to work on a new game. Maybe not a DLC. They don't have to work on another DLC. They can work on something else ARK related, because this is just something so big. You don't stop something with millions of players overnight. You don't do that. Guys, that's it. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.